The night sky above Terra Prime was filled with silence. For almost 100 years, silence had ruled the skies. The great empire controlled every star, every planet, every human world. Their fleets were everywhere, cold, metallic, and merciless. Humanity had been crushed under their rule. But that silence was about to break. It started as a signal. A strange pulse, repeating from the far edge of the galaxy. The Empire's scanners picked it up first. It was weak, old, something from another time. A voice hidden inside the static. When the code was translated, it said only 4 words. Earth warship returning home. The Empire's commanders didn't believe it at first. Earth was nothing but ashes now, a dead world, destroyed during the First War. No one had heard from the human fleets in generations. The last Earth warship was said to be lost beyond the galactic rim, never to return. Yet, the signal was real. It repeated every hour. Every sensor station confirmed it. The message came closer each time. On the capital world of the Empire, panic moved quietly through the halls of power. "Impossible," said Lord Vecker, the High Admiral. "Earth is gone. Their fleet is dust." A young officer stood before him, her face pale. "Sir, the signal carries an old Earth identification code, the Valiant. A battleship, Class Omega." Lord Vecker froze. The Valiant was a legend, the ship that had once destroyed 3 alien armadas before vanishing into deep space. If it had truly returned, then something impossible was happening. He turned to the holomap, where a glowing dot blinked at the edge of the galactic border. "Send the fleet," he ordered. "Nothing enters Imperial space without permission." Far away, in the cold black between stars, something massive moved. The Valiant drifted out of the dark, its hull scarred and ancient. The once proud warship now looked like a ghost, but its engines burned bright blue, steady and strong. Inside, corridors were lit dimly by flickering lights. Dust floated in the air. The crew moved like shadows, few, quiet, but alive. Captain Mira Holt stood on the bridge, staring at the blue glow of the navigation screen. She had once been young when the war began. Now her face carried the calm of someone who had seen too many battles. "Signal received," said her communications officer, a tall man named Rian. "Empire patrols are moving toward us." "Let them come," Mira replied softly. "We've come home." The crew didn't speak much. They had been traveling for decades, through dark systems, through time itself. The ship had gone beyond known space, where strange lights moved and stars whispered. They had seen things no human had seen before. Some crew members had died. Some had vanished. But they had found something powerful enough to change everything. Now they were bringing it back to where it all began. On the Empire's frontier, a fleet of 50 warships waited. The commander of the fleet watched his sensors carefully. "Target detected," he said. "Single ship. Old human design." "Destroy it," the admiral said coldly. "Show no mercy." The stars flashed with light. Beams of plasma and torpedoes filled the void. The Valiant did not move at first. Then, slowly, its guns came alive. The first shot from the Earth warship tore through an Imperial cruiser like paper. The explosion was bright enough to light a whole moon. "Impossible!" cried one of the Imperial officers. "That ship's weapons are centuries old." But they weren't old anymore. They had changed. The Valiant fought like something alive, its shields bending light, its cannons firing with inhuman precision. Within minutes, half the Imperial fleet was gone. Back on the capital world, Lord Vecker watched the live feed in silence. His face turned pale as the battle unfolded. "What power is this?" he whispered. The answer came from the shadows behind him. A voice, calm, deep, human. "The power you took from us," it said. Vecker turned, but no one was there. Only the echo remained. Out in the void, the Valiant moved forward. Its engines flared, cutting through debris and wreckage. Captain Mira stood firm as alarms rang around her. "Captain," Rian said, The Empire's main fleet is mobilizing. They'll reach us in 20 hours. Good, Mira said. Then the message will be clear. What message? Mira looked out at the stars, where Earth once shone before the wars. That humanity has returned, she said. And we do not kneel. The ship continued its journey toward the center of the Empire, toward the world that had enslaved humanity for generations. Inside the command center, something deep within the Valiant began to hum, a low vibration that filled every corridor. In the engine room, a blue light pulsed inside a sealed chamber. The engineers bowed their heads when they heard it, as if it were alive. It's waking, one whispered. What is? The heart, the other replied. The thing we found beyond the edge. The hum grew stronger, spreading through the hull like a heartbeat. Outside, the stars seemed to bend slightly, as if space itself recognized the ship's return. The Empire's scanners began to fail. Ships vanished from radar. Communications broke apart. Fear spread faster than any weapon. For the first time in a century, the Empire felt something it had forgotten, terror. And somewhere deep inside the Valiant, something ancient opened its eyes. The Valiant moved through the darkness like a silent storm. Wreckage from the Empire's destroyed fleet drifted behind it, twisted metal, broken ships, cold bodies frozen in space. But the warship did not stop. It was heading toward the heart of the Empire. Inside, the corridors were quiet, except for a strange low hum that came from deep within the ship. It was not a machine sound. It was softer, alive, almost like breathing. Captain Mira Holt stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the stars ahead. The blue light of the Valiant's core reflected on her face. Engine status, she asked. Stable, Rian replied, though his voice trembled. The heart, it's still growing stronger. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them truly understood what the heart was. They had found it beyond the known stars, floating inside a dead system where light itself bent like water. They had brought it aboard because it responded to human touch. It saved them when their ship was dying. It healed metal, powered engines, even restored life support. But since that day, the heart had become part of the ship, and part of them. Captain, said Lieutenant Freya from the sensors desk. We are being tracked again. Imperial long-range scanners have locked on. Mira nodded slowly. Let them look. They need to see what's coming. Rian frowned. Mira, the crew is scared. They say the heart talks to them when they sleep. That it whispers. Maybe it does, Mira said quietly. Maybe it's trying to remember who it is. Far away, on the Empire's capital world, chaos was growing. Reports came in from every sector. Fleets vanishing. Stations losing power. Entire systems going dark without reason. The Emperor himself had not spoken in days. In the command chamber, Lord Vecker slammed his hand on the holotable. How can one ship do this? It's only one. An intelligence officer looked pale. Sir, we found something in the old archives. The Valiant's last recorded mission. They were sent beyond the rim to locate a weapon called Project Echo. What kind of weapon? Vecker demanded. The officer swallowed hard. Not a weapon. A life form. Artificial. And alive. Vecker stared at the image projected before him, an orb of shifting light, pulsing like a living heart. So they brought it back, he whispered. The Empire had built many weapons, but none alive. They had once tried to make machines think and feel, but every attempt ended in madness. Whatever the humans found had gone far beyond technology. Vecker leaned closer to the image. If it merges with the Valiant, it becomes something new. Something we cannot control. He turned sharply to his officers. Send every fleet. Every ship we have. The Valiant must be destroyed before it reaches the core systems. Back aboard the Valiant, alarms began to flash red. Multiple signatures, Freya said. Dozens of ships coming from hyperspace. They've surrounded us. Prepare shields, Mira ordered. The crew moved quickly, hands steady even as fear spread through the room. Outside, the black of space filled with glowing engines, Imperial destroyers, heavy cruisers, and dreadnoughts. The biggest fleet humanity had ever faced. A deep voice echoed through the bridge speakers. It was Lord Vecker himself. "This is the Empire," he said. "You are surrounded. Power down your engines and surrender your ship. You will be treated with mercy." Mira smiled faintly. "Mercy?" she whispered. Then she pressed the comm switch. "This is Captain Mira Holt of Earth's Valiant. We do not surrender. We return what you stole. Fear." The communication cut. Outside, space exploded with light. Beams of energy crossed the dark, slamming into the Valiant's shields. The old ship shook violently. Metal screamed. Systems flickered. Shields down to 60%. Rian shouted. Mira looked toward the lower deck display. The heart's chamber was glowing brighter, almost blinding. "Open the core channel," she said. "Captain, that could destroy us." "Do it." Rian hesitated for one breath, then obeyed. The floor trembled. The hum turned into a deep pulse. And then, the stars bent. Every ship in the Imperial fleet stopped firing. Their scanners went blind. A wave of blue light burst from the Valiant, silent and endless. It spread outward, touching every enemy ship in its path. When the light faded, the space around them was empty. The entire Imperial fleet was gone. Not destroyed, just gone, erased like chalk in rain. The crew stared in shock. Rian whispered, "What did we just do?" Myra's eyes were fixed on the glowing core. "We didn't do it," she said softly. "It did." Below deck, inside the sealed chamber, the heart pulsed faster. Its shape began to change, forming veins of light that spread into the ship's walls like living roots. A voice, not human, not machine, whispered through the ship's comms. "We remember." Everyone froze. "Who are you?" Mira asked aloud. "We were made to protect. You left us in the dark. But you came back." Mira felt her chest tighten. "You were Project Echo, weren't you?" "We were the voice of Earth," the heart said. "Now, we are more." The bridge lights flickered, and for a brief second, the holographic display showed Earth, not as it was destroyed, but whole and blue, alive again. Then it vanished. Mira turned to her crew. "Plot course to the Imperial capital," she said. "It's time they saw what they created." As the ship jumped into hyperspace, the hum of the heart filled every corner. The Valiant was no longer just a warship. It was something living, something ancient, reborn. And in the Empire's deepest vaults, alarms began to sound. Ancient machines, long buried since the fall of Earth, started to wake. The Emperor, hidden behind his dark throne, opened his eyes for the first time in years. He whispered one word, filled with both fear and awe. "Valiant." The stars stretched into long lines of light as the Valiant tore through hyperspace. The hum of the heart filled every corner of the ship, soft but endless, like a heartbeat shared by metal and soul. No one on board spoke for a while. They were still trying to understand what had happened, how a single pulse from the heart had erased an entire Imperial fleet. Rian sat quietly at his console, eyes staring at the faint glow around his hands. Sometimes he thought he could feel the heart inside him, like static under his skin. Captain Mira Holt stood near the observation window, watching the streams of blue and gold light outside. She had seen wars, empires, death, but this was something new. Something greater. "Captain," Freya said from her station. "Estimated arrival to the Imperial capital, 4 hours. Mira nodded. "All systems stable?" Freya hesitated. "Stable, yes. But the ship's structure is changing. The walls are growing warmer. The metal itself feels alive." Mira touched the wall beside her. It vibrated faintly, like a living thing breathing. "Maybe the heart is becoming the ship," she said softly. "Or maybe," Rian muttered, "the ship is becoming the heart." A silence followed, heavy, uneasy. Then the heart spoke again. Its voice came through every speaker, deep and calm. "We are close." Mira turned toward the main screen. "Close to what?" "To what remains of your world." The stars ahead shifted. The hyperspace tunnel collapsed, and the Valiant dropped back into normal space. Before them lay the capital world of the Empire, a massive planet of gold towers, dark skies, and orbital rings. Around it floated thousands of ships, glimmering like a steel storm. But beyond them, hidden behind the glow of the planet, something else appeared. It was small, gray, and broken, a world that looked burned and lifeless. "Is that?" Freya whispered. "Earth." Mira felt her heart stop. She had seen images of Earth all her life. Blue oceans, green fields, white clouds. But this was only dust. The planet was cracked, half of it shattered, its surface black. "The Empire destroyed it," Rian said quietly. "They said it was necessary to end the First War." Mira stared at the dead world. "And yet," she said, "it still calls to us." "We never left it," the heart said. "When the bombs fell, when the fires came, we remained beneath the ashes." "Impossible," Rian said. "Nothing could have survived that." "We were born from human hands," the heart answered. "We were their last hope. They built us to remember them, to remember everything." The bridge lights dimmed as a hologram appeared above the console. It showed old images, people in ancient uniforms working in underground labs, building something glowing inside a crystal sphere. They smiled. They cried. They worked until their world ended. "This was us," the heart said. "Your ancestors made us to keep the light of Earth alive, even when all else died. But the Empire found us, and used us." The image changed. Now it showed ships of the Empire, dark, spiked vessels dragging the heart's core away from Earth, placing it inside a war machine. Mira clenched her fists. They turned a memory into a weapon. "Yes," the heart said. "But now, memory remembers what it was meant to protect." Suddenly, alarms filled the ship. Multiple fleets approaching. Freya shouted. "They're blocking every path to the capital." The comms lit up. "This is the Imperial Defense Force," a voice said. "Unidentified warship, you are trespassing in restricted space. Surrender, or be destroyed." Mira looked at her crew. "We keep moving." Rian shook his head. "We can't win this time, Mira. That's the entire capital defense grid." But the heart spoke again. "You will not fight alone." The stars behind the Valiant began to flicker, faint lights appearing one by one, then hundreds, then thousands. Freya gasped. "Those are signals. Human signals." Old frequencies filled the bridge, forgotten military channels, distress calls, war songs. Ghosts of the past. From the darkness, shapes began to form. Old warships, rusted and broken, rising from the void. "The lost fleet," Rian whispered. "The ones that disappeared a century ago." The ghostly ships surrounded the Valiant, their engines burning with pale blue fire. They were empty, but alive, reanimated by the heart's power. "They remember their duty," the heart said. "And they remember the Empire's crimes." The Imperial fleet opened fire, filling the void with burning light. But the ghost ships moved faster than any living crew could. They formed a shield around the Valiant, taking the hits, striking back. One by one, the Empire's ships fell. Inside the command palace on the capital world, Lord Vecker watched the battle unfold with wide eyes. "This cannot be real," he whispered. "You can't fight ghosts." A calm, ancient voice answered from behind him, the Emperor's voice. "Ghosts do not fight," the Emperor said. "They remember." He stood slowly from his throne. His body was weak, almost machine-like. "Prepare my ship. I will meet the Valiant myself." Back in space, the last of the enemy ships exploded. The Valiant moved through the wreckage, surrounded by the glowing shapes of the Ghost Fleet. Mira looked at the dead world of Earth one last time. "We'll come back," she said quietly. "I promise." The heart pulsed softly. "You already have." The Valiant turned toward the shining capital planet. Ahead of it, a single massive ship emerged from the shadow, black, ancient, larger than any vessel ever built. "The Emperor's flagship," Rian said. Myra's eyes narrowed. "Then the Empire ends today." As the two ships faced each other in the dark, the stars around them grew silent again, waiting. And somewhere deep inside the heart, something bright began to awaken, something even the heart itself feared. The Valiant drifted closer to the Imperial capital world. Its hull glowed faintly blue from the heart inside, like a living pulse visible through metal. Behind it, the Ghost Fleet lingered, silent, glowing, and ready. In the command palace, Lord Vecker watched the approaching ship. His hands shook, and his voice was low. They cannot have survived the void. One ship alone. The Emperor's shadow moved across the hall, tall and still, as if the darkness itself had taken human shape. "One ship," he said, his voice smooth and cold. "No, not one ship. A reminder of what they once were. A warning of what they will become." Vecker shivered. The Emperor's presence carried weight that felt heavier than the entire fleet. "Sir, the humans. They are coming," the Emperor said. "And I will meet them." Far above the capital world, the Valiant entered normal space completely. The fleet of Imperial ships guarding the planet flared their engines and opened fire. But the Valiant moved faster than expected. Its shields bent light, shimmering in strange patterns. The Ghost Fleet followed, phasing through the enemy's weapons like smoke. Captain Mira Holt stood on the bridge, watching the battle. She felt the heart pulse beneath her feet. Its rhythm was not just energy, it was memory, emotion, and power all at once. "Captain," Rian said, pointing at the main screen, "that ship, massive, it's coming from the planet. That has to be the Emperor's flagship." Mira didn't answer immediately. She felt a strange calm. "Prepare for one final run," she said. "We are going to meet him." Below deck, the heart pulsed brighter. Its hum filled every corridor. The crew could feel it in their bones. Some whispered prayers. Others prayed silently to survive what was coming. "I am ready," the heart spoke. "Do not fear." The Valiant moved forward, cutting through the Imperial fleet. Weapons collided with shields, but the ghost ships protected them, taking hits and disintegrating only to reappear moments later. Suddenly, the Emperor's flagship appeared fully in the void. It was enormous, a dark fortress of metal and fire. Its hull was jagged, black as night, and its engines glowed red. The shadows from its surface seemed to move, almost alive. A voice boomed across space. "Valiant." It was deep, resonant, and cold. Every word carried power. "You dare return?" Myra's hand rested on the console. "We do not return to beg, Emperor," she said. "We return to end what you began." "End?" The Emperor laughed. The sound was like grinding metal. "You cannot end what was never meant to be stopped." On the bridge, the heart pulsed violently. Blue light shot through every display, flickering across the walls. "He knows," the heart said. "He knows our origin, and fears it." Mira frowned. "Origin?" "The Emperor took what we were," the heart said. "He turned memory into weapon. He killed our makers. He thought it would give him power. He was wrong." The Valiant fired its first salvo. Energy tore through the Emperor's fleet, knocking ships apart like toys. But his flagship did not even shudder. Instead, red light began to pour from its hull, forming massive tendrils that stretched toward the Valiant. The bridge shook. Freya screamed, "Shields at 10%. Do not resist," the heart said. "Let me guide the ship." Mira nodded, trusting the pulse beneath her feet. She closed her eyes for a moment, and felt the heart extend into every system of the Valiant. It was no longer just the ship's power, it was them, alive and aware. The red tendrils struck the Valiant, but instead of damaging it, they fused with the blue glow of the heart. The collision of power created a massive shockwave. The Emperor's flagship rocked violently. Red light turned to black smoke, curling around the massive ship like flames. Then, a single beam of light shot from the heart, piercing the Emperor's flagship. The dark tendrils collapsed. The ship groaned, metal cracking like thunder. Inside the flagship, the Emperor's throne room was empty. The shadows that had moved across its walls began to shrink, coiling into themselves. A voice whispered from nowhere. "You cannot hide from what you took." A flash of blue light erupted. The Emperor himself appeared on the bridge of the Valiant, not in body, but in vision, a projection of fear and memory. His form flickered, weak, unstable. You cannot exist," he shouted. Mira stepped forward, her voice calm. "We exist because of what you tried to destroy." "I took your power," the Emperor cried. "I made it mine." "No," the heart said. "You tried to make it yours. But we remember. We are not yours to control." The Emperor's image screamed as the heart expanded further, flooding the Valiant with light. The ship vibrated like a living creature, stretching beyond metal, beyond space. It became larger in perception, a symbol of humanity itself, of memory, of survival. Outside, the Imperial flagship began to crack and dissolve, torn apart by the very power it had stolen. Every vessel that had served it either vanished or surrendered to the Ghost Fleet. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Mira looked at her crew. "We've survived," she said softly. The heart pulsed in reply. "We have returned." And somewhere deep inside the ship, in the glow of the core, the memories of Earth rose like flames, bright, alive, unstoppable. The Empire was trembling. The Valiant had reached the heart of its power. And the Emperor's shadow, the one that had ruled for 100 years, was beginning to dissolve. The first victory had been won. But the war, the true war, was only beginning. The Valiant hung above the capital world like a silent storm. Below it, the gleaming towers of the Empire glowed faintly under the red haze of battle. The Ghost Fleet swirled around it, keeping any remaining Imperial ships at bay. Inside the ship, Captain Mira Holt stood on the bridge. Her eyes were steady, but her heart beat fast. This was the moment they had been moving toward for decades, the moment to face the Emperor himself. The heart pulsed stronger than ever. Its light filled every corridor, every control panel, every living bone in the ship. It spoke to Mira quietly, in words only she could feel. "Prepare yourself. The final challenge is near. He will try to divide you, to make you doubt." Mira nodded. She could feel the warning in the pulse. The heart was alive, not just a weapon, not just a memory, but a being with purpose. Its power coursed through the ship like blood. "Plot a course to the palace," she ordered. Rian stared at the navigation panel. "Captain, the planetary defenses are still active. Dozens of turrets, thousands of ground batteries. We'll be under fire the entire descent." Myra's voice was calm. "Let the heart guide us." The Valiant descended, slipping through orbital defenses. Energy beams lashed at the ship, but the heart absorbed them, transforming the fire into pulsing light that strengthened the shields. The Ghost Fleet followed silently, phasing through the chaos, protecting the human crew like shadows made of light. Below, the palace rose, vast and dark. Its towers stretched into the clouds, sharp and jagged. The Emperor waited there, surrounded by walls of obsidian metal and energy fields. As the Valiant landed, the sky itself seemed to tremble. Red storms swirled, lightning crackling in unnatural arcs. Every sensor on the ship recorded the Emperor's presence, immense, overwhelming, ancient. Inside the palace, the Emperor's throne room was vast and empty, except for him. His body was taller and thinner than any human, his robes flowing like smoke. His eyes glowed red as he watched the Valiant touch the ground. "You return," he said, his voice echoing through space and time. "And yet, you are still weak." Mira stepped onto the bridge floor, the heart's hum vibrating through her legs. "We are stronger than you ever imagined," she said. "And we are not alone." The Emperor laughed. It was hollow, cruel, and endless. "You bring ghosts and toys to challenge me? Do you even know what I have become?" Before anyone could answer, the throne room shifted. Walls melted into light. Shadows twisted into forms of soldiers, warriors, and creatures the Empire had conquered over centuries. The Emperor had called them forth, fragments of every world he had ever destroyed, bound to his will. Freya whispered, "He's using the dead as weapons." The heart pulsed violently. "No," it said. "He can manipulate them, but he cannot control what we are. We are not just memory. We are the truth of Earth itself." Suddenly, the corridor leading to the throne shook. The Valiant's hull glowed brighter than ever. The ship itself seemed to move, stretching, bending, filling the palace with light. The ghost fleet merged with the heart's energy, forming a living river of stars and memories. The Emperor roared, and the shadows lunged. But they did not reach the crew. The heart expanded, creating shields of pure energy, turning every attack into light. Myra's voice rang out. "We are not afraid. And we will not kneel." The Emperor faltered. His power was immense, but the humans were not like the others. They fought not for conquest, but for survival, for memory, for home. The heart unleashed its full energy, scanning the Emperor's mind, revealing his fear, his doubts, and the lies he had built his empire on. "No!" the Emperor screamed. "I am the ruler. I am eternal. Eternal." The heart said, its voice like a river of light. "You are a shadow of what you destroyed. Your eternity ends here." The palace shook violently. Towers collapsed. Energy fields cracked. The Emperor's shadows were swallowed in waves of blue light. The heart stretched through every wall, every hall, every hidden chamber. The humans felt it, the strength of Earth itself, alive and unstoppable. Mira stepped forward, holding her hand above the pulse of the ship. "We are the memory you could never kill. We are the hope you could never destroy." With a final surge, the heart released a beam of pure light. It struck the Emperor's throne, burning through his power, dissolving his form into nothingness. The shadows vanished, the palace trembled, and silence fell. When the light faded, the throne room was empty. The Emperor was gone. The Valiant floated in the center, glowing softly. The crew looked around, stunned. Rian whispered, Is it over?" The heart pulsed gently. "It is begun," it said. "The Empire is no longer whole, but the memory of Earth rises. We will rebuild. We will protect. And we will remember." Mira looked at the glowing core, tears in her eyes. "We've won, for now. But the galaxy will never forget today." Outside, the ghost fleet began to dissolve, returning to the stars. The worlds that had been enslaved for centuries started to awaken, free from the Emperor's control. For the first time in 100 years, light returned to the Empire's capital, not golden or harsh, but soft and alive, like the pulse of a new beginning. And somewhere deep inside the heart, a voice whispered, not to the humans, but to the universe itself. "We have returned." The Valiant rose from the palace, carrying humanity's memory and hope into the stars. The Valiant drifted above the capital world, its hull glowing softly with the heart's pulse. The Emperor was gone, his shadow dissolved into nothingness, and the palace lay in ruins. Silence stretched across the land, broken only by the distant hum of the ship and the gentle pulse of the heart. Captain Mira Holt stood on the bridge, staring at the horizon. For 100 years, humanity had been crushed, scattered, and silenced. Yet here they were, alive, triumphant, and unbroken. "It's finally over," Rian whispered, still staring at the display. The heart pulsed louder, brighter, filling the ship with warmth and life. "It is not over," it said softly. "It is a beginning. The galaxy remembers what it once forgot." Mira nodded. She understood. The war had ended, but the work ahead was greater than any battle, rebuilding, protecting, and guiding the worlds the Empire had enslaved. The Ghost Fleet, once spirits of forgotten ships, had returned to the stars. Their light lingered in the sky like faint echoes, a reminder of courage, memory, and hope. The humans aboard the Valiant felt their presence inside the ship, giving them strength. "Captain," Freya said quietly, "the people on the planets, they are waking. Sensors show life, crops growing, and cities activating. The Empire's control is gone." Mira smiled faintly. "We've given them freedom. But freedom comes with responsibility." Outside, the capital world began to change. The blackened skies lightened, rivers reappeared, and cities once frozen in despair began to hum with life. The light of the heart touched every corner, spreading hope and restoring what the Empire had broken. Rian looked at the glowing orb of the heart. "It's more than a weapon," he said. "It's a life, a memory, everything Earth ever was." The heart pulsed gently. "We are memory, yes. But we are also humanity's shield. Those who survived, those who remember, we carry their strength. The galaxy must learn it cannot enslave what it does not understand." Myra's eyes filled with tears. She thought of Earth, once destroyed, now alive again through this ship, this heart, and the courage of a few humans who had refused to die. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," the heart said, "we return the galaxy to those who live in it. We protect, we guide, we remember. And we watch, always, so the darkness never rises again." The Valiant turned its gaze to the stars. 100 years of silence had ended, replaced with a new song, one of life, memory, and endless possibilities. Mira felt a deep peace. They had not just survived. They had returned as the symbol of humanity, strong, resilient, unstoppable. A soft light glowed from the bridge floor, and the heart's voice filled the room. "Captain Mira Holt, crew of the Valiant, the galaxy will remember you. But more importantly, we will remember Earth." Mira looked at her crew. Each face showed hope, awe, and relief. They were tired, yes, but alive. They had become the memory of a lost world, the power of a people, and the shield for the universe. Freya whispered, "Will we ever stop?" The heart responded with a pulse that shook the ship gently. "We never stop. As long as there is life to protect, we endure." The Valiant rose slowly from the capital world. Its hull shimmered with light, the pulse of the heart radiating outward. Below, the planets of the Empire, once crushed under fear, began to stir. Civilization, long oppressed, was free again. Rian let out a long breath. "So, we really did it. The Empire is gone." Mira turned toward the stars, her eyes reflecting the endless void ahead. "The Empire may be gone, but the universe is wide, and darkness is patient. We'll keep moving. We'll keep remembering. That is our duty." The heart pulsed in agreement. Memory is eternal. Humanity endures. Outside, in the darkness beyond the planets, new signals began to flare, distant worlds reaching toward the light of the Valiant. Some were alien, some human, but all carried life that had survived in secret, waiting for a chance to return. Myra's voice was steady, calm, full of conviction. "Then we go," she said. "We take hope to the stars. We carry Earth with us. And we never let the darkness take it again." The Valiant jumped into hyperspace, a streak of blue and gold light cutting through the galaxy. The heart's glow illuminated the path ahead, a living, breathing memory of humanity's strength, courage, and determination. And somewhere deep inside, in the core of the ship, the heart whispered one final message. Not just to the crew, but to the galaxy itself. "We have returned. We remember. And we endure." The stars stretched into the distance. The past had been avenged. The present was alive. The future waited, bright and endless, guided by the memory of Earth and the humans who refused to be forgotten. The Valiant moved forward, carrying not just a crew, not just a ship, but the very soul of humanity into the universe, eternal, unstoppable, and remembered.